Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. Got another topic that I think is going to be really interesting, or at least I get this question a lot, so I'm assuming people find it interesting. And that's just the simple question of how much do I need to retire? And then there's this simple rule called the 4% rule that's out there. You may have heard of it, and we want to kind of talk through it and see if that still makes sense and how applicable it might be. So if you like the video, wherever you find it, please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow the website. I'll, love to continue to get the word out. So share it and all that good stuff would be helpful. Anyway, so how much do I need to retire? This is a loaded question. Everybody wants to know, especially if they don't like their job, right? So the first question or the first part of that solution might be, well, if you just hate your job that much, maybe you should find a new job or at least reframe the job and how it works in your life and how it's supporting your family. There certainly is dignity in work. And so I'm not here to say we need to rush to retirement and to retire early. There may be some ways to help make your work life more enjoyable by reframing it or maybe find a new job entirely. But there is going to come a point in time where your mind and body may not function quite like it used to. And you may want to say, hey, I want to be able to retire. And maybe that means you focus more on charitable work, spend more time with your grandkids. There's a lot of things you can do in retirement without completely just sitting in front of the TV all day. So once you've got kind of a vision of what your retirement could be, which is something certainly a good financial advisor can help you work through if you're having trouble working through that on your own. I would encourage you to talk to somebody to help kind of draw that out and figure out what that could look like. But if you want to just get a baseline of, hey, how much would I need to retire? Am I even close? Am I on track? There's this thing called the 4% rule. This has been out there for a while. And it simply says if you just multiply 4% times your current saved investments for retirement, if you can live on that number, then you would, in theory, be able to retire. And so if you just took, say, $2.5 million, I'm doing this because it can make an easy round number of $100,000 a year. So 2.5 million times 4% is $100,000. So if you can live on $100,000, well, then that number could be enough for you. Now, this rule of the 4% is there's a few different ways that you can look at it. If your investments are going to grow at a higher rate than that, some people might say, well, why can't I take more than 4%? Well, inflation is a real killer. And so the 4% rule is there to help make sure that we're leaving some money in the portfolio to grow to continue to offset inflation over time, right? So if you just take out every penny that you make every year, then over time, your what you make from your portfolio is not going to keep up with the cost of living. So you can certainly outspend your retirement dollars by taking out too much. And so the 4% rule is there to try to mitigate that. Now, obviously, rates have been very low, and the stock market can be certainly uncertain as to what it could be in the short term, and long term returns can also be a little bit varied. So the 4% rule may or may not make sense. And if you also take into account things like a lifestyle that can vary from individual, right? A 4% rule could be great for one person. Another person wants to travel a lot. So it might not make even sense for that purposes. So it's not customized, I guess would be another way to say that. Also doesn't always account for longevity, right? If you're going to live a long time and you're talking about going 40 plus years without working, boy, a 4% withdrawal rate based on inflation and potentially hitting rough patches with a slow market, that could be potentially problematic. So you want to be able to work through those contingencies. And again, I would recommend working with a financial advisor to work through that. It also doesn't really account for how much money you might need at the end of your life to pay for some care, whether that be in-home care or some assisted living care or what have you. That can be a big chunk of money at the end of your life. and there may not be enough there if you've withdrawn too much. And then the final thing is that it may not leave enough both annually to be charitable with both, your helping out family with various things, or certainly charitable interest with the church and whatnot. And it also might not leave a chunk of money at the end if you want to leave some money behind for your family or for the church. So, you really want to be able to make sure you're working through numbers that are specific to your situation and making sure that you're having enough money to fit the goals that you want. So the 4% rule can make a lot of sense as a baseline, but it doesn't cover the whole story. Another easy way to calculate that number, if you want to go with the inverse, would just be to take the income that you think you want and multiply it by 25. So if you want the 100,000 in income, multiply it by 25, that gets you to 2.5 million. And if you want to go a little bit more conservative, which could be beneficial, would be the 3% rule. Again, you do the same thing, multiply what you have by 3%. If you can live on that, then that you could be able to retire. You could do the multiply, that would be times 33. So the same $100,000 that you want to live on, you would multiply that by 33, and that gets you $3.3 million would be what you would need to cover your retirement nest egg. So I hope that's helpful. And again, I would encourage you to talk to a financial advisor, because this is not a financial advice. This is purely for information and education. And I really hope it gives you some insight as to what you should be shooting for. But to get more details in your situation, talk to a professional. And if you want to reach out to me to talk about that, I would love to help. You can email me or contact me on my website. Again, it's Phil, Foundation Wealth Planning. I'm a certified financial planner, and love helping people work on their financial plan. And typically I work mostly with Catholics, helping align their finances with their values. So along with retiring, making sure that the money is matching your life values. So love to help. Thanks for stopping by, and God bless.